Hey everybody, what's going on? What's up? It's been a while. I haven't recorded a vlog in a really long time. It's just been one ordeal after another. Um, I don't even remember what the last vlog I recorded, but it's been a while. So you're probably saying, well, what on earth happened to you with your hand? Well, to make a long story short, New Year's Eve and within the Christmas time for that past month, I wasn't feeling that great at all. Um, Apparently, my sugar hadn't really went out of control. I was really in the high 300s, really bad, and I was getting really bad headaches. And when I have that kind of sugar, high sugar, which seems like no one understands, and I'm going to explain it. You get headaches, you get really like your vision plays tricks on you. You're thinking something's moving and it's not, and you're like that. Like, I just seen that move. Oh, no, it's not it. And I get like these headaches, like these pulsating headaches, like when you bend down, like if you had like a head cold or something like that. It's like you feel like almost like pulsating in your head, not like headaches as like, oh, I got a migraine or I got a splitting headache, not like that. Um, so because of that is the reason why this had happened. New Year's Eve day, I was in the kitchen and I had just finished making dinner for myself, and because of my neuropathy in my hands, my mind, with my nerve, I don't, I sometimes you don't think that you're holding something in your hand. You don't realize it. Now that you got to be a little more aware of, okay, let me hold it. Let me really hold this tight because I'm going to wind up dropping it. That just slipped from my mind. It fell on the floor. Um, I was pissed. I was like, oh my god, and I just picked up the stuff and I threw it into the garbage. And there was mess on the floor, so I was just about to go get a mop and clean it up, but I had a knife out that I was using to cut what I was doing. I had my cabinet door open because I had just got a plate to actually put the food on there. So next thing I know, me out of it, um, I wind up slipping on the mess. I had the knife in my hand. I was putting in the process of putting in the sink. The knife just went just into my finger as I went to the ground. I was down. I hurt my shoulder. It was everything happened just so fast, but it was all because I was just out of it. And I try to explain this, and people, it seems like people don't understand, you know, with diabetes, and I don't get that. I'll get into that thing later on. But anyway, although I had a really bad cut, I was bleeding very profusely. My father was scared. I didn't even know what happened. I was so out of it. I went to the hospital emergency room. They gave me stitches. Uh, Apparently, my doctor took the stitches out too quick, as they should not have been taken out. At least 7 to 10 days, and it was before 10 days, so they took them out really too close. I was referred to a hand surgeon, and I couldn't bend my finger, so I can't show you in this hand. So I was only able to do this, and my finger was out like here. I couldn't bend my finger like this or like this. So I only had it straight out like that. So basically, I went to the hand surgeon. He says, Chris, you cut your tendon. You definitely cut the tendon, and that's why you can't move your pinky like that. You can't bend it the way you're supposed to. I was like, okay. He said, so you need surgery to have that corrected. I said, okay. I wind up going last Tuesday. I had the surgery done, and I have to have this on for about 2 weeks. So I have to make an appointment, go back 10 to 14 days after this to go see, so they can take the stitches out, and I start therapy on my hand. Now, what can come out from this? There's complications that can come from this. One complication, and I really don't want to say it's a complication. I really would say it's more of a result that scar tissue can build up, and that surgery may not have been a beneficial thing in the sense that scar tissue adheres to the tendon, and then you have to have another surgery to have that corrected and have those separated because they wind up growing back and healing together. Um, Now, I couldn't do certain things. I couldn't drive. I'm not allowed to drive because my arm had nerve block. They tell you to keep it up in the sling until it wears off. That I did. And because my dad is not in a great condition in the way of walking, he's with a walker, I had to do everything myself. Now, I really, really, really made it my business not to use my hand, this one, but I've used mostly this. I've cooked. It is a struggle. I've driven with one hand. It's a struggle. I don't suggest anybody driving with this surgery, and you really should have a responsible adult. Now, unfortunately, my situation, I didn't have that. I wish I did. I wish my father was in a little more better care. Otherwise, in his disability and stuff like that, and his problem, otherwise he could have did more for me. But yesterday I did go food shopping, and he was able to take the shopping cart up for me, which was really nice, and that was the first thing he really did for me, and I was like kind of shocked because usually he's the way he is. I feel helpless, and he depends on me, and I have to, and I'm an independent person, and I get very offended when he when he wants to try to help me, but I have to learn to deal with that. In a sense, it is crazy because if you look at my hand, they keep it like this. Now, what surgery I had was called Flexor Tendon surgery. That's what the proper procedure is called. Now, on the pinky here, you can see how wrapped up it is. Now, the reason why they have this here is because you don't bend your hand this way and straighten out. Otherwise, you could rupture the tendon. That's why they tell you not to lift up certain things. Don't really use your hand as much as you would when you're one that's free, and try not to use the fingers that are free. Now, I had these fingers free. I've used them, but not picking up heavy stuff. Maybe grabbed a piece of paper, or maybe leaned something on there. And yes, I'm in pain. I am in pain. It hurts, because where they did the surgery and stuff. And but it's gonna take a while for me to heal, especially that I'm a diabetic. And sleeping at night is very hard. It's very difficult because they tell you to prop yourself up on pillows and your arm up, because keeping it up like this maintains blood circulation, so the blood flow is fine. Now, there are other videos out there talking about post-op for this surgery, the do's and don'ts, but I think there should be a little more videos out there, and I was hoping people will record their experience within the weeks, in the sense of try to do things they couldn't do, and the results, what happened with that, or problems they were faced with. There are videos out there they made first week, second week, but they really don't get into a lot of things that I would like to know, and I'm sure there's other people out there who would like to know more about it, who've had this procedure or who are going to have this procedure done. I started something totally different on New Year's. A couple of days before that, I was checking out a diet that I used to be on called the paleo diet. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, the paleo diet, just a brief synopsis of what it is. It's basically called paleo diet, which stands for Paleolithic diet. Things that cavemen and our ancestors lived on before you had all this processed stuff. Like meat, grass-fed meat and beef and stuff that wasn't processed. Natural things. Eggs, bacon, and all that stuff, no grains, no pasta, no beans, nothing that's considered high in carbohydrates. Now, there was another diet that is very similar to this that actually runs parallel to it, and it's called ketogenic diet, or aka keto for short. Somebody recommended that diet to me within one of the forms of the paleo diet I follow on Facebook, which I had for years. And actually, it was like almost like it was calling out to me, like, Chris, start doing this diet. You need to start changing. So, I mean, with the problem with the diabetes I've had and the progressiveness of the neuropathy in my hands, I'm just so tired of it. I'm really tired of it. And people do not understand how it feels to go through these complications. The thing is different from the paleo, is that paleo, you eat, basically, you do eat like potatoes and carrots and stuff which do have carbs in it, but the keto don't use that. Everything is strictly low carb. It's almost like an Atkins diet, if you will, but it's really not. You can have grass-fed meats. You can have regular meat, which you really should only have once in a while, or the best cut of meat you can try to get if you can't get grass-fed. Healthy fats, high fat, high protein diet, low carb. Now, where do the fats come from? Coconut oil, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, nuts, like sunflower seeds, nuts and seeds, pecans, walnuts, and pumpkin seeds. And you also can use different kind of flours, coconut flour, no sugar whatsoever. They also tell you to really keep away from artificial sweeteners such as Splenda. Now, I use Splenda very rarely. I've been drinking my coffee without any kind of sweetener in it, or even no sugar. Even maple syrup I've stayed away from because that raises blood sugar. Maybe later on, if I get my sugars good and I want a little bit of maple syrup, then fine. But that's later down the road if I do a maintenance. This is basically starting this diet, and so I would never, deal with that. Now, stevia, I can have stevia, as long as it's pure organic stevia or stevia extract, Swerve, or any other sweetener out there that is really not chemically made in a factory or processed, better word to say what it is. Like bone broth and all that stuff, that's supposed to be good for you. You can have dairy, but you want to limit your dairy. Different milks like almond milk, unsweetened, and coconut milk, unsweetened. You can do those as well. A lot of, probiotic, like kombucha, sauerkraut, and all that stuff. So it's basically like the paleo diet, if you do look that up and see what it is. It's parallel, but they don't really use a lot of high carb things. So it's basically high fat, high protein, and low carb. The protein is what is supposed to sustain the blood sugar, and the high fat is what is supposed to be what you burn in order for that to maintain your blood sugars as well. Have I seen a change? I've seen a change. Now, I've started this diet on the 2nd of January. I had a lot of lows. I have had 80s. I've crashed. I went up. I crashed. I woke up in sweats. My sugar has been so off that it's caused me to have a lot of issues with a lot of relationships of friends that I have, and certain things that happen that apparently people don't understand what I'm going through, and then they want to say that, oh, you use that excuse and blah, 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 but you wake up with a soaking wet shirt, high sugar, and then all of a sudden you're down to 70. It's not good. Now, speaking of sugar in that sense, I had to get my sugar down really well. They encouraged me to have my waking sugars when I wake to be really low. Now, when I woke up for the surgery at 4 in the morning, my sugar was 167. And when they took it at the hospital before the surgery, it was the same numbers. So I did very well. Ketogenic is when you're in ketosis. Ketosis is basically when you're able to sustain yourself. You have regular blood sugar is stable. They call it ketosis. There's also something maybe diabetics have heard called ketoacidosis. That's when you have high ketones in your sugar, or that's sugar in your urine. if you ever use these strips, they have strips that you pee on the strip, and it gives you a reading of the color of how much ketones, if you have small, trace, moderate, heavy, like that. Ketoacidosis is the bad part of being in ketosis. But for regular people, it's a good thing. And for diabetics, it's totally different. But sometimes to be in ketosis is good, and sometimes ketoacidosis. It's kind of a different on the spectrum when it comes to somebody who is a diabetic and a non-diabetic. So, but that's when you say you're in ketosis. You have energy. You have, I don't feel tired. My sugar's not high, and I check it. Also, a lot of leafy greens, also in the diet as well. Salad and stuff like that, and putting oil, olive oil, lemon, apple cider vinegar, like stuff like that, balsamic vinegar, stuff that's really good for you, and stuff that's not going to raise your blood sugar. Have I seen changes? Like I said, yes, I have seen changes. And it's funny. Yesterday, I was in the supermarket talking about diabetes and talking about how people don't understand the situation of the problem and how people don't get how diabetes is. Diabetes is a metabolical disease. And having a metabolical disease is not fun at all. People could say, oh, diabetes, oh, you have to get your sugar under control. You have to do this and you have to do that. And doctors tell you this and that. It's easier said than done. Or the person who thinks they know it all, or they think they know about the disease, don't know squat about it. And basically, that's the worst thing you could tell somebody, a diabetic, how to eat, how to live, what to eat, what not to eat. Because it's offensive for one reason. And it's very condescending to somebody, who's trying, and they say to you, or they think to themselves, they say this person doesn't even have a clue what you're going through. Now, I've been a diabetic since I'm 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. Now, it's not type 1, it's type 2. I've been tested for it. So I'm 40 now, I've had it for a really long time. And I've had it for 20 years now. So I think, where I'm at with this disease is not like I just got diagnosed yesterday for it. I have the complications to deal with headaches the way I deal with them, and then seeing things. Not only that, I get laser on my eyes. I got diabetic retinopathy, diabetic peripheral neuropathy in my feet and my hands. Things like that is not going to go away overnight, and things may not even be resolved. These things stick with you. You can get your sugar under control, and you still can have these things. It's not reversible, these things. Can you prevent them from continuing? Oh, yes, for furthering damage, yes, you can, but not, the damage is already done. And you try to explain that to people, and they just don't get it. You live with diabetes. You see how easy it is. Especially somebody who has had it for years. They don't understand. I've also just got a ulcer on my foot that I had taken care of that before this, with this hand problem happened and this accident. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on. And people don't understand until they experience it themselves, and they understand, and they could say, you know what, I'm sorry, now I understand what this person's going through. Maybe I should be a little more understanding and see, what, it's tough for them as it is. Yes, it's tough for me. It's tough for me. It's very tough for me. And I tell people that, and they don't get it. And it's like, you know what, oh, you need to do this, and you need to do that. I said, if you're trying to be encouraging, that's not being encouraging. That's being ignorant, because you don't know what the situation is. You don't even know what I'm dealing with, or that person's dealing with, and you're giving all these suggestions. And more if it's more of a insult to injury than it is to try to help that person. And like I said, it's not like you've been diagnosed, or I've been diagnosed just recently, and I've only had this a year or less than that. So, or you're pre-diabetic and you're dealing with the complications have already set in. There is no more to explain about that. What can you do? There's nothing you can do. The only thing you can do is to change your diet, the way you eat. Perhaps there's so many diets out there that work. Now, this diet is working for me. I cut back on my insulin, do I? Maybe I may have to eventually, once I get stabilized or I'm in ketosis. But I've noticed a change. I've noticed that I'm not falling asleep. I don't have the headaches anymore. I don't feel like crap. I don't feel like crap. It's that simple. Living with a disease is tough, and people are there's a lot of people out there who just say, oh, thank God it's not me, and I don't care. You know what? Maybe people should care and have a little more compassion for people. And even sometimes, even some diabetics out there who have diabetes, and they have their sugar under control, or they're on the verge of being out of control, and they think they know it all. Oh, you need to do this, and well, certain things may work for you, may not work for me. That's what I'm trying to explain. So this is what we have to deal with in life. Things don't happen the way we want them to, and things don't happen the way you expect them to, and you can't expect things to happen the way you want it to, especially for that person. You got to let them find their own path and deal with what they have to deal with. It's being complacent. If they're not being complacent, that is one thing. If they're being complacent, that's a totally different thing. And I disagree with a lot of people thinking they know it all. I'm on full insulin. I take 4 pens a day, 4 different prescriptions a day. And I'm on, I'm sorry. I'm on Novolog. I'm on Levemir. I'm on Victoza. And all these injections. You think I want to be on them? No. But it's the only thing that's helping right now. And it's the only thing to get my sugar under control in order for me to heal with this. So, am I in pain? Yes, I'm in pain. I have pain medication. I've taken them, but I take mostly Tylenol because I don't want to overdo it with that stuff. I'm not dependent on it. But that is what I've been going through. And I don't care what I have to explain or what I have to say. It's the truth. I'm sorry if you made it this far into the video. Thank you. That people have no clue on how it is to deal with a disease. And if you do have this disease and it has not progressed into what I have or somebody else has, don't judge them. Don't be condescending. Don't be thinking you're knowing it all. Oh, you need to stop eating that. You need to know you shouldn't eat that. You should eat this. Who are you? A doctor? Are you a nutritionist? Seriously, are you a nutritionist? Have you ever told somebody how to eat? Because just because you eat different than that person doesn't mean that I have to eat the same way. My body is totally different, regardless of whether it's genetic or it's metabolical, the same, or whatever it is. My body is different than your body, or his body, or her body for that matter. And like I said, people need to get off their high horse and stop thinking they know it all. And just realize, people out there need to have compassion, need to have understanding. And apparently, it's needless to say, the day it happens to them, that's when, and they're on the other side of the table, they're going to see how it feels. And I don't hope that on anybody or wish that on anybody. So now you guys understand what I've gone through, what I've dealt with, and how really tough it is. Many people could say, oh, come on, oh, it's not that bad. Really? Take a step in my shoes for one day, and then you probably would just say, oh my God, Chris, oh yeah, oh my God, yeah, I understand now. I'm sorry. It's not as simple as people may think it is, or easy to do. Easier said than done. It's that's the way it is. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video, and if you stuck it out this long, I appreciate it. Hopefully, I will be trying to record something else, more videos in the future. I know I've taken a really long break from doing this vlogging thing, but I figure, you know, if a lot of people that watch me, they're probably saying what happened to me, and they could see, and people I haven't know what's going on. They see, you know what? Hey, it's not BS. That's what's been going on in my life. Wow. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and have a great night, great day, or wherever you're watching this from, or whatever time you're watching it. Thanks. Bye.